Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning. Well, thank you for joining us on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. This is a great day, a beautiful day by our standard, a beautiful morning, actually. And so it shows us that this will be a very beautiful day. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. My name is Femi Ojo, and this is where we dissect issues in the public space, issues that has to do with the greater good of this great nation and the good people of Nigeria. And we look at every issue. So we look at the papers, the front pages, and then we dissect what the issues are, providing solutions. And I don't do that alone. Daniel is there. Daniel Emeka. Daniel, good morning.
Good morning, Femi.
Morning wine. How do you do?
How do you do?
Very well. It's good to be back here.
Absolutely.
Let's do this.
Yeah. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. Good morning to you, of course. Yes, you are distinguished viewers. Thank you for joining us once again. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Daniel Emeka is my name. It promises to be a great day. It's a new dawn, of course. Every day is a new dawn. Whenever you're ready to start, then that's your beginning. That's the starting point for you. And this morning is actually a brand new day, an opportunity for you to start and achieve whatever you want to achieve. Here on Morning Spring, we bring you the best of news and information. We start with the newspaper review segment. Then, of course, we dive into critical matters, having conversations with stakeholders. And if it truly matters, you get to hear it from us right here on Morning Spring at Western Spring Television. Once again, thank you for joining us. And I am Daniel Emeka. A lot has been happening in Nigeria. Starting from yesterday, the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest. Before now, the police said they had a court order restraining them, the protesters, from going to places like, the National Assembly Complex,
Right.
Eagle Square, Force Headquarters, Shehu Shagari Way. I mean, most of the key areas. But something happened yesterday. The protesters were nowhere near those places.
Yeah.
Okay, those places the police warned them not to go close to. They weren't there. The protesters were at Utako, at Bega, at Apple, and guess what? The police fired tear gas on the protesters. They were not allowed to carry out any protest whatsoever, despite the fact that they weren't anywhere near those places. For instance, places like the Federal Secretariat was cordoned off. They cordoned off the place, including 3-arm zones. So if you cordon off the Federal Secretariat and the 3-arm zone, there is no way anyone can get anywhere close to the National Assembly Complex or the presidential villa.
Yeah.
So those places were secure. But again, no one was allowed to protest anywhere around Abuja yesterday.
Well, I think protest, the right to protest, the right to expression, that's freedom of expression, is enshrined in our laws, actually. Peaceful protest, actually, because it's everybody's right. And that's one of the beauty of democracy, the ability to express and to identify something and to speak out, even if that demand is not acceded to, your voice will still be heard. And that's why they say the minority will have their say, the majority will have the day. But then in Nigeria, it's quite dicey. Sometimes those things become unnecessarily complex. Because the police said they went to court and they secured an injunction barring protesters, especially in this case, the Free Nnamdi protest from taking place in those areas, National Assembly, all of those places. And, and they said they reached out to those persons. And in fact, that the content of the court order is in the public knowledge that you should not do all of these things. And they had to cordon off some certain areas. Because I listened to Benjamin Hundeyin yesterday, watched him, where he defended what the police did. And so that those persons that they know, and the moment they were trying to approach those areas, they have to do their job. That's what he said.
Tell me, they were nowhere near those areas.
In Benjamin
Hunteyin's
words, he said they were trying to approach that area. And the moment they did that, in as much they have the public, the constitutional backing and the court injunction to bar those persons. And so they had to do what they had to do by shooting canisters of, what's it called? Tear gas against those persons. And, a couple of arrests were made actually at different places. As I said, Nnamdi Kanu's brother was arrested. Aloy Jimako, a counsel to Nnamdi Kanu was arrested as well, and some other persons in some certain places, making like 6 or 8 persons who were arrested and who will be prosecuted. Actually, that's what Benjamin Hundeyin said, because they know what they are doing and they acted in confines of the law. Now, the question is this: it's better not to aggravate some issues, because it's not just about the free Nnamdi Kanu issue. I'm talking about the public optics now. There are many persons who have been stomaching so many things.
Absolutely.
And whom are lashing to any available thing, especially if the situation is badly managed.
Yeah.
Like the NSAS situation.
Exactly.
Because personally, and many persons believe it was badly managed, that NSAS situation. If only the government of that day, of that time, that's of Muhammadu Buhari, have been responsive early enough to acknowledge that there are issues with the Nigerian police. Talk to them. They made it look like babies wasting their time and all of those things. Oh, it's opposition that are using that. If I remember, Showore wasn't allowed in Lagos near the NSAS thing and that, because they believed, you know, he has always been a politician. They believe the moment you come into that fray, then that particular credibility is lost, because politicians say, oh, we know. So it wasn't even allowed. Whatever he was doing with his Free Nigeria movement or whatever I called it at that time. Yeah. And you know, all of those things still boomeranged, and everything was a mess. Either there was cover up, either the narrative was changed a lot of it. But now it's about Nnamdi Kanu. And some have been saying maybe a political solution. I remember during Buhari, I was there, and you know, in different meetings as well, to say Buhari would never release Nnamdi Kanu. And he never did. Because you could know there was a reason. It became like a vendetta. The question many
even when there were court orders for him to be released. Now,
the prosecutors keep changing. Do you know how many times the charges against Nnamdi Kanu have been amended?
They keep modifying
every AK market day, they keep changing the thing. Now, many persons are not even for Nnamdi Kanu. So many persons across Nigeria are not even for him, but they believed if you want to judge a case, prosecute. In fact, one person on a live program yesterday, that's Dan Nwaya, the chairman of Zenith Labour Party, and of course, an Igbo man said, if actually the court wants to sentence him to death, and if I go, he said something very, you know, not really cool, actually, you know, possibly his body is to be done in a certain way, do it. But this one that you just kept him there, DSS will be struggling to have him, the correctional center will be struggling to have him. Oh, is he alive? Is he fine? Is he okay to stand trial? And all of those things. Let there be a pronouncement. And some have been saying maybe, just maybe, a political calculation might be the one to settle all of these things. But the question is, there are some who feel Nnamdi Kanu, allegedly, you know, because of what they say, has said some horrible things in the past that have thrown the Southeast into what it is right now, building a Frankenstein, actually, that has ravaged so many persons in the hill of IPOP, ESN, and all of those persons. And then a certain Samuel Ekpa came into the fray from Finland, ordering people, saying the guy was in Europe with his family. He kept saying whatever he was saying, and people have been maimed, people have been killed, because what they feel is their agitation. And some have taken it out of the agitation into real light, real day criminality, kidnappings, and all of those things happening. A couple of State of Assembly members across this, at least I can count to, that have been kidnapped, beheaded, actually, and manhandled in a kind of way. But this is not what we are supposed to be seeing at this time. If you are going, for those that are doing the Free Nnamdi Kanu case, I just hope they have a way around these things. And Nigerian police, you know, should be seen, because optics is everything. And Nigerians seeing them as protecting Nigerians, or you are protecting the powerful? That is one very big question that Nigerians will keep asking. But for these that happened, although I was expecting so much, possibly a larger crowd, that was quite a few people that did that. I'm not sure they're up to 50, but that doesn't matter. A voice can always matter.
Absolutely.
In the scheme of things.
And Femi, this is not looking good. This is just the beginning. You know, I saw some of the protests on TV yesterday, those in Abuja trying to protest. The fact remains that the police, and I say again, I choose my words carefully, the Nigerian police has no right whatsoever to tear gas, you know, harmless protesters. People have the right to protest. People have the right, Nigerians have the right to express their grievances. It happens everywhere in the world. So the Nigerian police shouldn't have tear gas the innocent protesters. under any guise because they were not at those centers, and the Nigeria police claimed they got a court order for them not to go near. They weren't there. I know where Utako is. I know where Bega is. I know where Apo is. These places are nowhere near these designated areas where they shouldn't go to. So why should the Nigeria police start using tear gas? And again, Femi, why is the government of today, why is the present administration in Nigeria, why are they so jittery? The security presence in Abuja yesterday was massive. Everywhere was there was a lockdown, there was a traffic gridlock just because of security presence. We have military men, soldiers everywhere, policemen, DSS with hoods, hooded DSS men everywhere, as if there was a war going on. This is just supposed to be a protest. And again, Femi, like you said, some people who have not been supporting Nnamdi Kanu before, now this protest, if not well managed, will no longer be a free Nnamdi Kanu protest.
Exactly.
Even those who don't like him might take advantage and join the protest just because of the way it is being handled.
Yeah.
So it's quite unfortunate.
That's why I have to cite the example of NSAS, yes, that it was badly managed. And then, by the way, yesterday was the 50th remembrance of NSAS, the Lekki Toge thing, October 20. That fateful day. It was a Sunday evening, and everything got bad in that particular way. Families of those who lost their lives, will never forget that day. And again, because we must always have this conversation about both sides, because there are policemen who lost their lives in that thing as well, not at Lekki Toll Gate, because people will always easily remember Lekki Toll Gate, whatever happened there, that carnage actually, because it was. And there were hoodlums who went to police stations.
The aftermath, yes. Yeah. I saw some at motion. Yes, I even saw some videos.
Very terrible things happened.
Exactly.
Many policemen lost their lives, and then their body were mutilated actually by hoodlums. Remember, some went into the Oba of Lagos Palace and they desecrated the place, wore the robe, put the opashe, swam, they went into the pool and all of those things. But many security security agents, security police were killed, in that place because it was a terrible thing. BRT buses were burnt in Lagos. Igboshere Magistrate Court was burnt. It was a terrible thing. And then it will always go back to mismanagement of crises in Nigeria, especially when they are brewing. Instead of you coming out, if you want to acknowledge, if you want to address, address, but you just make it to look like it doesn't matter.
And you don't use excessive force.
We don't learn.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
And they're not supposed to use excessive force. Here's the point, Femi. All it takes now, things can quickly escalate. Femi, all it takes right now is for one trigger-happy policeman to just mistakenly shoot someone. And that'll be it. That's all it takes.
And everything.
And people will say, okay, now we are ready to die. Just kill everyone. And that's all it takes. And that's how a revolution starts. So they should watch it. The Nigerian police should watch it. Do not use excessive force on people because these guys are not armed. They were holding leaves. I saw they were holding leaves. So
and placards.
Exactly, and placards. So why would you try to use excessive force on them?
We'll look into the cause, that particular topic, the cause of the program and other issues, because some believe it's more than it's appearing at this time. But for now, we have so much to unpack, starting with the headlines from our major dailies for today. Stay with us. All right, we kickstart the headline segment with the front page of the Punch. The Punch for today, punching it very hard. Hashtag free Nnamdi Kanu protest wave hit Abuja, paralyzes southeast states. Protest wave hit Abuja, paralyzes southeast states. With rider Abuja protesters tear gas, Villa fortified. Federal workers bad, southeast locked down. Abuja protesters tear gassed, Villa fortified, federal workers bad, southeast locked down. Now you can see, the pictures from some of these protest venues.
Yeah, even those
Nnamdi Kanu and pro-government protesters during the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest march in Abuja, which caused gridlock in several parts of the capital city on Monday. Interesting. Pro-Nnamdi Kanu and pro-government protesters.
Yeah, I was about to say, even those working in the presidential villa who had tags could not gain access. They were redirected. So some staff of the presidential villa were frustrated at what's going on. The security was so much.
I think Benjamin Gideon said there was a rerouting of the roads. Just this particular place, don't access it. But for those that want to get to a particular place, beyond that place that was barricaded, you know, there was an alternate road or something like that, because the interviewer put the question to him and say, you are accusing the protesters of causing gridlock. You are the one who barricaded. And, you know, he had to say, whatever needs to be done, had to be done. All right. And National Assembly mounts army commander, soldiers killed by Borno terrorists. I saw this 2 days ago, and it gives rise to that question. These individuals now, for whatever it is that will come, and we hear at some point that the federal government are rehabilitating same person. That's just the thing.
So in Ashwebi for bandits.
You know, it's very terrible, because these are the things. The moment you carry an army against the state, for me, that's it. That's it. Especially for innocent persons, you ambush army checkpoints, you overrun, bases, and then later they say they do like this. And it's in international conventions that whoever surrender, you should not kill her. I remember a particular army general, I think one of these military chiefs in the US, I've forgotten the name now. And you need to hear, he said, according to him, that the United States, most of the time, want the peace. But if actually there is any person in any nation of the world who feels you want to test whatever the United States can do, he told those people, the son will be fatherless and the daughters will be motherless. I mean, it means if you try us, you will not be available during the important milestone in the days of your children, because you'll be no more. And that's the way you should say, so that people will think twice before they carry arms against the state. Now, 6 persons have died. A commander, died in the process 2 days ago. And then there is still a program rehabilitating these people. Or in the next 5-6 years, those people will not be forgiven, pardoned.
Isn't it embarrassing? Haven't you seen a case in Nigeria where a general was kidnapped, abducted, and his colleagues started contributing money? Started contributing money to,
for
exactly, to pay ransom to.
It's
quite embarrassing.
Right. Arraignment of Obi of Lagos. Others stored Oshino be honored by family, clergy, media giants at 70th birthday Thanksgiving. The strip, Labour gives FG 4 weeks to end varsity crisis. And ADC warns against political witch hunt in Coup Road. That will be all from the front page of the Punch for today.
And from the Punch newspaper, we move to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. On the Nigerian Tribune this morning, NLC, other varsity unions give FG 4 weeks to resolve ASU crisis. Nigeria Labour Congress, other varsity unions give federal government 4 weeks to resolve academic staff union of university crisis. Below that, we have some riders. ASU, SANU, NASU, NAT, ASUPS, COESU, form alliance. So much right there, talking about different academic and non-academic staff unions of Nigerian tertiary institutions forming alliance. Say no trade union will attend meetings with government officials who lack necessary mandates. No trade union will attend meetings with government officials who lack necessary mandate. You'll find details of that story on page 3. Still talking about the ongoing ASU strike, strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities in Nigeria. And the Nigerian Labour Congress came out yesterday to say they've declared a no pay, no work system right now. So it's a regime of no pay, no work from Labour Congress. The federal government is saying no work, no pay, and Labour is saying no pay, no work. The question is, how far can we go with this? You might want to read up details of that story on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Away from the banner red line, let's move on to other stories. Still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. On the top strip, alleged forgery. PDP dismisses Ayaun's claim. Welcomes investigation by DSS police. Alleged forgery. PDP dismisses Ayaun's claim. Welcomes investigation by DSS police. Below that, we have a couple of riders. Insists National Secretary signed letters, attended meetings. PDP crisis a family affair, coming from Adeleke. PDP crisis a family affair. This has become, many Nigerians would say, this has become one messy family affair. And coming from Governor Ademola Adeleke, who himself, a PDP governor, has already declared support for Mr. President who's in the APC, many people will say, you politicians are just doing whatever it takes to secure your political survival. And that's exactly what it is. You might say anything different, but Nigerians know better. You might read up details of that story on page 15 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Away from that, stop ongoing process on amendments to 1999 Constitution. Olanipekun tells National Assembly. Stop ongoing process on amendment to 1999 Constitution. Olanipekun tells National Assembly. You might want to find out why he's saying so by reading up that story on page 15. Below that, we have a couple of writers. Says Nigeria needs transition period till 2031 for referendum on new constitution. Talking about a transition period until 2031 for referendum on new constitution. Anyway, that's someone's opinion right there. Away from that, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Crack in ADC as party suspends South-South vice chairman. Crack in ADC as party suspends South-South vice chairman. You find that story on page 16. Relief as price of cooking gas drops to 1,200 naira per kilogram. Relief as price of cooking gas drops to 1,200 naira per kilogram.
What a relief.
Absolutely. You find details of that story on page 3. I guess Nigerians should start dancing and celebrating. Quite interesting. And away from that, right at the middle of the page, you see a picture inside Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, Sir Kensington Adebutu, Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, and others during the inauguration of the Kensington Adebukunla Adebutu Research Center, College of Medicine, University of Lagos on Monday. Below that, we have a story. Free Nnamdi Kanu. Security operatives fire tear gas, disperse protesters in Abuja. Security operatives fire tear gas, disperse protesters in Abuja. Below that, we have a couple of riders. Schools, markets, shops, banks shut in Anambra, Enugu, Ebonyi, Imo. Those are southeastern states in Nigeria. And below that, we have court activities paralyzed. Hearing in police suits against protesters affected. Police in show of force in Lagos. APC blames opposition leaders over protests. Here we go again, Femi. It has become political now. APC is blaming opposition leaders over protests. You find details of that story on page 4. And on the bottom strip, Nigeria now has 301 universities as NUC approves new university for Imo State. Nigeria has 301 universities as the Nigerian Universities Commission, the National Universities Commission, approves new university for Imo State. To find details of that story on page 3. I thought there was a rule, a decree that there won't be new universities, there won't be approvals for new universities anymore. So now we're having new universities. We had 297 before, now we have 301. Definitely we are increasing. The number of universities in Nigeria is increasing by the day. And that'll be all from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
All right, from the Nigerian Tribune. Interesting. You know, you had to say the approval. Well, we don't know. Maybe it has been approved before, but just announced now. But we remember there was a ban
Absolutely,
on you know, the approval of application for new universities. All right. Beyond that, let's see what the Daily Trust has for us. The Daily Trust newspaper, Nnamdi Kanu protest disrupts Abuja. Nnamdi Kanu protest disrupts Abuja. And of course, the insert of the pictures are there. Address Nigerians on alleged coup plot. ADC to federal government. Address Nigerians on alleged coup plot. ADC to federal government. FG. Court orders marriage between TikTokers over. All right. Court orders marriage between TikTokers over indecent video. Trusting. All right. TikTokers. And so in the same line, indecent videos.
I saw that yesterday, and they said they have to get married. I mean, this will be one marriage by force.
Court orders marriage between TikTokers over indecent video. Meaning what exactly?
When I saw the clip I saw, they were actually well dressed. Maybe there's another one. I mean, they were dressed in native attire. So perhaps there's another one I'm not saying.
Moving on, Nigeria. Anybody who needs that information, page 51 or thereabout of the Daily Trust has that. Now, Nigeria imports a 953 billion naira worth of sugar in 1 year. Nigeria imports 953 billion naira worth of sugar in 1 year, almost $1 trillion.
Whatever happened to Dangote Sugar Refinery?
Well,
when Dangote Sugar Refinery started, right from the beginning, they were doing business to the tune of 350 million naira per day.
Right.
350 billion naira per day. That's Dangote Sugar Refinery, according to the reports that came from them, because they are actually supplying most of the production companies in Nigeria. So now we are saying we are importing so much. So
in 1 year.
Which means we still have a deficit in production.
Obviously. Is there anything that we don't have the deficit of as far as production and manufacturing is concerned in Nigeria? And then some of those things you can even say evenly and easily pick out, the reasons why. Now, Aviation Union declares strike. That's another problem. Then Aviation Union declares strike. You expect disruptions in people's flight schedule. Fortunately, some will miss exams, some will miss job interviews, some will miss contract, some will miss medical appointments as well, just because of the system. All right. And away from that, NLC to government to resolve issues with ASU, others in 4 weeks. Convention, Anya willingly signed all documents, PDP. That's what the PDP are saying. You lie. You saying your signature was cloned?
Or, but the man has said he did not sign. Did anybody see him signing it? Was he photographed?
PDP said, you signed.
Was he photographed when he was signing it?
You can't say something else right now.
The PDP has to prove that he signed, because the person who signed said he did not sign.
Okay.
So they have to prove.
Road crashes killed 3,433 persons in 9 months. Let's be more careful, and again, let the roads be fixed, because some is not because they are not careful, it's because of the bad state of many Nigerian roads. And, that'll be all from the Daily Trust.
And from the Daily Trust, we move to the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. On the Vanguard newspaper this morning, Nnamdi Kanu, Abuja grounded as security men tear gas protesters. Abuja grounded as security men tear gas protesters. Talking about the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest that started yesterday in Abuja. You find details of that story on page 5. And the leader of that protest, Omoyele Sowore, has warned that it might escalate, it might go out of hand if the police keep trying to stop them using excessive force. We'll speak more on that in the course of the program this morning. Away from the banner red line, don't use coup plots to silence opposition. ADC warns federal government. Do not use coup plots to silence opposition. ADC warns federal government. You'll find details of that story on page 25. We are shielding no ally. EFCC recovered 500 billion naira in 2 years. Coming from Tinubu, we are shielding no ally. EFCC recovered 500 billion naira in 2 years. Coming from Tinubu. Well, Mr. President, if you say you're not shielding any allies, people will say there are so many figures we can point to in Nigeria. For instance, the former governor of Delta State, we all know he had a case to answer with EFCC that's talking about Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. He did come to the APC together with the current governor and the cabinet, and some other people as well who have questions to answer. But just like someone in the APC has said that you just join the party and your sins will be forgiven. Now Mr. President is saying otherwise. They are not shielding anyone. 500 billion naira recovered. But how about the trillions of naira not yet recovered? And those individuals are right there, cooling off in the APC. Mr. President, what do you have to say about that? I think Nigerians deserve an honest answer at this time. Away from that, still on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. A manifold usage of Warri Kingdom by non-Ishekiri monarchs. A manifold usage of Warri Kingdom by non-Ishekiri monarchs. I'm still on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. And on the top strip, Nigeria's net domestic credit drops by 12.8% to 98.97 trillion naira. Talking about Nigeria's net domestic credit dropping by 12.8% to 98.97 trillion naira. You find details of that story on page 19. I'm moving towards the bottom strip of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. NLC gives federal government 4 weeks to resolve education sector crisis. Nigeria Labour Congress gives federal government 4 weeks to resolve education sector crisis. Says no pay, no work as ASU, SANU, NASU, others unite for action. Quite interesting. Talking about the ongoing strike by universities and other higher institutions in Nigeria. Below that, we have another story. Unite to defeat the evil APC has become. Olawepo Hashim tells Nigerians, unite to defeat the evil APC has become. Olawepo Hashim tells Nigerians. You might want to read up details of that story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Okoye remains Udinese's numero uno goalkeeper. Okoye remains Udinese's numero uno goalkeeper. I'm talking about sports right there. You can read up that story on page 30. And on the bottom strip, we have a couple of stories. Dakuku on page 16, Baba Ahmed 17, and of course, Teniola on page 18. You might want to read up details of those stories on those pages. And that'll be all from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. I'd have loved to take the comic section, but it's not quite, the resolution is not quite clear here. You might want to look up that in the comic section as well. That'll be all from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. That also brings us to an end of the newspaper review segments of this show. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll speak to critical matters. Join us again.